Are you good?
Yeah, I just can't hear nothing.
Okay, I get it. Look at me. Can you hear me? Breathe.
All the way up
In and out. You drop the zero. Okay? Cool.
Bro.
You good? No, listen for a second. I need to make sure you're good. You're not here, all right?
I'm
You don't feel anything? I get it.
Yeah.
Relax. Take a second.
Yeah.
All right, come back over.
The Merit Uncensored, owned by 𝓢𝓍𴪍 Media. Episode Shadows on the Street. In a small city that prided itself on community values, a sinister undercurrent ran beneath the surface. The local police department had increasingly embraced technology in their operations, aiming to crack down on crime. However, the methods they employed soon spiraled into a web of unconstitutional practices, deeply affecting the lives of its residents, especially young black men. Chapter 1. The Unseen Hand. James was a promising high school senior, known for his commitment to academics and basketball. One crisp autumn afternoon, he walked home from practice, his hands tucked deep in the pockets of his jacket. As he strolled through his neighborhood, he was unaware that a police officer had been monitoring him through a high-definition camera mounted on a nearby street pole. The officer, suspecting James's casual demeanor, jacket, hands in pockets, bulge, decided it warranted a stop. Unbeknownst to him, James was just trying to keep warm, his wallet causing the slight outline. But to the officer, this bulge could just as easily be a weapon. The officer activated his body camera and approached James. "Hey, you! Stop right there!" the officer barked, echoing through the quiet street. James turned, startled but respectful. "Is there a problem, officer?" Chapter 2. The Terry Stop Gone Wrong. The officer launched into a series of rapid-fire questions, each more accusatory than the last. "What are you doing here? Where are you coming from?" This was a classic example of a Terry stop, temporary detainment based on reasonable suspicion. But the line between reasonable suspicion and racial bias was razor thin, often overlooked by those enforcing the law. As the situation escalated, James's confusion turned to fear. "I'm just walking home," he replied, but the officer wasn't listening. He patted James down roughly, discovering only the wallet. The officer's frustration grew, and soon, he pulled out his phone, using facial recognition software to confirm James's identity. Within moments, James found himself handcuffed and placed in the back of a police cruiser, his future uncertain. The officer's report would cite suspicious behavior, a vague term that masked the truth. James was just a young black man in the wrong place at the wrong time. Chapter 3. The Data Dilemma. Meanwhile, the city had invested in advanced surveillance technologies, including drones and AI software designed to detect firearms. Thousands of cameras lined the streets, scrutinizing every move citizens made. James's arrest wasn't an isolated incident, it was part of a disturbing pattern of racially biased policing. Back at the precinct, the officers reviewed footage from Ring doorbell cameras, often obtained without the homeowner's consent. The department had developed a troubling relationship with tech companies, prioritizing surveillance over community trust. The consequences were dire. Wrongful arrests mounted, and innocent people were being convicted based on flimsy evidence. James's case became a rallying point for activists who fought against the misuse of technology and racial profiling. Chapter 4. The Fight Back. As community outrage grew, local leaders organized town halls to discuss police practices. They invited speakers to educate residents about their rights and the limits of police authority. One expert emphasized the importance of understanding Terry stops. Officers must have a reasonable suspicion, but that's often misapplied. We must hold them accountable. The media caught wind of the discussions, broadcasting stories of individuals wrongfully arrested. James's experience became emblematic of a larger crisis, forcing the police department to confront their policies. Activists proposed reforms, including transparency in surveillance practices, limits on facial recognition use, and community oversight of police operations. They pushed for policies that would protect residents from unwarranted stops and searches, demanding a shift from punitive measures to community engagement. Chapter 5: A New Dawn? As the movement gained momentum, change began to ripple through the city. A community board was established to oversee police practices, ensuring officers received training on implicit bias and constitutional rights. James, now a college freshman, became an advocate, sharing his story to help others understand the importance of fighting for justice. Though the road ahead remained long and fraught with challenges, the city slowly began to transform. The once unquestioned authority of the police was now met with scrutiny and demand for accountability. In a world where technology often obscured the line between safety and surveillance, the community had learned to reclaim their narrative. The shadows that once loomed over them began to recede, replaced by a shared vision of justice, equity, and respect for every individual. In the end, it wasn't just about one young man or a single incident, it was about the collective power of a community rising against unconstitutional practices, redefining the relationship between law enforcement and the people they were sworn to protect.